The planet Zyphera was unlike anything Captain Elias Thorne had ever seen. Its skies shimmered in hues of violet and gold, with twin suns casting long, twisting shadows across vast crystal forests. Rivers of liquid silver flowed like veins across the landscape, reflecting the light in a dazzling display. The air carried a faint hum, a vibration that seemed almost alive, and Elias could feel it deep in his chest. Every step he took on the soft, iridescent soil reminded him that he was a guest in a world far older and stranger than anything on Earth. Elias was no ordinary soldier. At just 28, he had seen wars across multiple star systems. He had survived battles where the odds were stacked against him, and he had learned that fear was the mind's greatest enemy. But nothing in his experience had prepared him for the alien court he was about to enter. The palace loomed ahead, a structure of crystalline towers spiraling skyward, seemingly grown rather than built. As Elias approached, the enormous doors opened automatically, their surfaces rippling like liquid glass. The hall inside was vast, echoing with a soft, melodic resonance. Aliens of every shape and size moved gracefully across the polished floors, their movements precise and elegant, almost choreographed. Each one watched him with sharp, luminous eyes, a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. And then he saw her, Princess Lyra of Zyphera. She stood at the center of the court, a vision of alien grace, her silver-blue skin glowing faintly under the crystalline light. Her hair floated slightly as if underwater, and her eyes, large and iridescent, studied him with amusement. She wore a gown that seemed to shimmer and shift colors as she moved, reflecting the light of the palace in a dazzling display. Her presence was commanding, yet playful, and Elias could feel her gaze like a tangible force pressing against his resolve. Lyra had heard of humans, of their reckless bravery and stubborn determination, but she had never seen one in person. She expected fear, perhaps awe, but Elias carried neither. He stood tall, shoulders back, and met her gaze evenly. Her lips curled into a slight smirk, a look that could chill or charm, depending on the intent. "You are far from home, Captain Thorne," she said, her voice musical yet sharp. "Do you come to admire our wonders, or do you think your human tricks can impress us?" Elias didn't reply immediately. He knew that words could be traps, that clever phrasing was a weapon here. Instead, he took a measured step forward, allowing the soft hum of the palace to fill the silence. "I come to learn," he said finally, his voice steady, "and to represent my people with respect." Lyra's smirk widened. "Respect is earned, Captain. Here, in Zyphera, respect is not given lightly. We have lived for millennia. We have mastered what you call impossible. And yet, here you are, walking into our palace without fear of being crushed under the weight of our superiority." The crowd around her chuckled softly, their laughter like a chorus of wind chimes. Elias could feel the tension building in the air, as if the very walls of the palace were waiting to see what he would do next. He allowed himself a small, controlled smile. He had learned long ago that confidence could be more disarming than any weapon. Lyra's amusement seemed genuine, but her eyes were calculating. She leaned forward slightly, as if challenging him to step closer, to reveal whether he was merely a man or something more. "Do you think your armor, your human technology, can protect you here? Our environment is not kind to those who rely on machines." Elias glanced down at his suit, a standard-issue tactical armor designed for extreme conditions. It was sleek, adaptable, and powerful, yet he felt a sudden urge to set it aside. Not now, he told himself. Patience was a weapon he intended to wield carefully. He noticed small details as he studied the court. The way Lyra's attendants mirrored her movements, the subtle energy fields that shimmered in certain corners, and the patterns in the crystal floor that suggested hidden traps. Nothing was random here. Everything had purpose. And yet, humans had a gift that aliens often underestimated: creativity. Humans could adapt in ways that were impossible to predict. And that was what he intended to show. Lyra circled him slowly, her gaze never leaving his face. "I hear humans are bold, almost foolish. Is it true that you would walk into a battlefield without fear of death? That you would face enemies far stronger, faster, and smarter than yourself, and still survive?" Elias met her gaze without hesitation. "It is true," he said simply. "But we survive because we think, not because we rely solely on strength. And sometimes, the mind can be the sharpest weapon of all." The princess tilted her head, intrigued. For the first time, Elias saw a flicker of curiosity replace her amusement. She had expected a simple soldier, perhaps nervous or defensive, and instead, she found a man who carried himself with quiet confidence, who understood that fear was not the absence of danger but the control of it. "Very well, Captain Thorne," she said finally, her voice softening slightly. "We shall see if your mind is as sharp as you claim. Tomorrow, there will be a demonstration. A trial of agility, strategy, and courage. You will face obstacles that have bested our finest warriors. Your task is simple: survive, and perhaps you will earn a fragment of our respect." Elias nodded. "I accept your challenge." The court murmured at his audacity, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others leaning in with curiosity. Lyra's smirk returned, wider and more playful than before. "Bold humans," she whispered, almost to herself. "You are entertaining, if nothing else." As Elias left the palace hall, he felt the eyes of Zyphera upon him, measuring him, judging him. But he also felt a spark of excitement. This was not a battlefield of brute force. It was a place where wits and courage would be tested against centuries of alien sophistication. And he had never been more ready. Outside, the twin suns were setting, casting long golden beams across the crystalline forests. Elias paused for a moment, letting the alien wind brush against his face. He knew tomorrow would be difficult, perhaps even dangerous. But he also knew this: humans had a way of surprising those who underestimated them. And if Princess Lyra thought she had seen everything humanity could offer, she was about to learn just how adaptable, resourceful, and unyielding humans could be. He clenched his fists, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. No armor, no weapons, no external advantage could match the human spirit. And that, Elias thought, smiling faintly to himself, was something even the most advanced alien civilization could never take away. Tomorrow, the trial would begin. And when it did, he would show Princess Lyra that courage, strategy, and a clear mind could make a human soldier more formidable than any suit of armor. The morning sun rose over Zyphera, painting the crystalline forests with shades of pink and silver. Captain Elias Thorne stood at the edge of the trial field, watching the intricate patterns etched into the ground. The area was vast, stretching as far as the eye could see, filled with obstacles that shimmered and moved, as if alive. Towers of crystal jutted out at impossible angles, while translucent bridges arched over rushing streams of liquid silver. Elias could feel the hum of energy beneath his feet, a faint vibration that seemed to pulse with the planet's heartbeat. Princess Lyra appeared at the center of the field, her figure radiant under the twin suns. She floated slightly above the ground, moving with the grace of someone born to command attention. Around her, a group of Zypheran warriors watched, ready to judge, to challenge, and to record every move Elias would make. Lyra's eyes sparkled with amusement as she scanned the human soldier, clearly enjoying the anticipation in the air. "Captain Thorne," she called, her voice carrying over the field. "Today we will see whether humans are clever or simply foolish. Your task is simple. Navigate this field, avoid traps, and reach the central tower. You will have no armor beyond your own body, and no weapons beyond your wits. Do not disappoint me." Elias nodded calmly, feeling the familiar surge of determination. He had faced impossible situations before, though never against beings as advanced as the Xiferans. Still, he had learned something valuable in every challenge. Preparation, observation, and adaptability were stronger than brute force. And he could see the patterns in the field already, the subtle differences in light on the crystal floor, the faint hum that indicated energy traps, the predictable rhythm in the movement of certain obstacles. Without a moment's hesitation, he stepped forward. The first obstacle was a bridge of light, thin and glowing, stretching over a deep chasm filled with a swirling silver mist. Lyra's laughter rang out, soft but clear. "Balance will fail you, Captain. Most humans fall at the first step." Elias ignored her taunt. He concentrated on the light under his feet, finding the faintly glowing lines that indicated the bridge's solid path. One careful step, then another, his body moving with precision. He could feel the energy beneath the bridge reacting to his presence, but his instincts guided him. Halfway across, the bridge shimmered and tilted slightly, testing him. He shifted his weight smoothly, letting his human reflexes compensate for the instability. When he reached the other side, he glanced up to see Lyra watching, her amusement deepening. "Impressive," she said, though her tone carried the slightest hint of challenge. "But the trial is only beginning." The next obstacle was a maze of crystal walls, constantly moving as if the field itself was alive. The corridors twisted and turned, some leading to dead ends, others to sudden drops. Aliens watching from above whispered to one another, clearly expecting him to panic. But Elias slowed his pace, observing the walls, noticing the faint patterns in their movement. He remembered reading about Cyfera's energy rhythms in the reports Earth had gathered. The aliens had a predictable sequence in how their constructs moved. He followed the rhythm, timing his steps carefully. Several times, the walls nearly trapped him, but he pivoted, ducked, and leaped with calculated precision. The human mind could adapt to unpredictability in ways the Xiferans seemed not to anticipate. He smiled faintly as he reached the center of the maze, knowing he had already demonstrated something important. Humans were patient, observant, and capable of learning fast. Lyra floated down from her perch as he emerged. "I see," she said, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You are not afraid. But fearless humans can be reckless. Let us see how you handle the final test." The last part of the field was a series of platforms suspended above a glowing river of liquid silver. Each platform hovered independently, shifting in space unpredictably. Energy pulses shot up from the river, and one misstep could send a contestant tumbling into the molten surface below. Many Xiferan warriors had failed this test in the past, even with full enhancements. Elias took a deep breath. He measured the distance, calculated the timing of the energy pulses, and stepped onto the first platform. It wobbled slightly, but he adjusted immediately. One by one, he moved across the series of platforms, jumping with accuracy, rolling to absorb impact, and using his intuition to predict the subtle shifts. He felt his heart beat steadily. Every movement required focus. But he had done this before in other worlds under far worse conditions. Lyra's smirk deepened, her eyes gleaming with interest. "Curious," she whispered. "Most humans would have panicked. Yet he moves as if he belongs here." By the final platform before the central tower was the largest, but also the most dangerous. It rotated slowly and emitted strong bursts of energy at irregular intervals. Elias paused for a moment, analyzing the timing and rhythm. He noticed a pattern, slight but consistent, in the pulses. Human brains were adept at pattern recognition, and he used this gift to time his jump perfectly. He landed on the final platform, barely avoiding a surge of energy that could have knocked him off. From there, the central tower was within reach, its entrance glowing faintly. Elias ran the last stretch, feeling the hum of the palace and the anticipation of the court. He reached the tower, placing his hand on the smooth surface as a signal of completion. The Xiferan court fell silent for a moment, the tension in the air almost palpable. Then Princess Lyra smiled, genuinely this time. Not with mockery, but with a spark of admiration. "You have completed the trial," she said. "Without armor. Without weapons. Only your mind, your reflexes, and your courage. Few of my people have done what you have done." Elias nodded, sweat on his brow but his composure intact. Lyra's eyes lingered on him for a moment longer, studying his calm determination. "Humans are unpredictable," she said finally, her voice quiet but thoughtful. "We often underestimate your species, believing our enhancements and technology make us invincible. Yet, you have proven something important today. Humans survive not because of tools, but because of ingenuity, courage, and adaptability." A murmur ran through the court. Aliens exchanged glances, some incredulous, others impressed. Elias felt a surge of pride, not for himself, but for humanity. This was the moment he had hoped for. To show that humans could stand on equal footing with beings far older and more advanced, using nothing but the power of their minds and spirit. Lyra extended her hand slightly, a gesture almost foreign in formality but unmistakable in meaning. "You have earned my respect, Captain Thorne. Perhaps it is time that we rethink our view of humans." Elias gave a small, polite nod, understanding the gravity of the moment. Respect from the Xiferan princess was no small achievement. "I am honored, Princess. That is all I seek." As the sun rose higher, bathing the field in golden light, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. The trial had proven one thing. Humans were not to be dismissed. The Xiferans would remember this day, and in their minds, the seed of respect had been planted. And somewhere in the crystal towers of the palace, Princess Lyra would not forget the human who walked the trial without fear, without armor, and without hesitation. Elias allowed himself a brief smile. The humans of Earth were far from perfect, but they had something rare in the universe: courage, adaptability, and the unyielding will to survive. And in a world that often judged by strength or technology, those qualities could shine brighter than any crystal palace or alien enhancement. The applause from the Xiferan court had barely faded when Princess Lyra's eyes found Captain Elias Thorne again. Her amusement was no longer playful, it had sharpened into a challenge. The trial had tested his skill, agility, and intellect. But she wanted to see something else: his pride, his courage, and whether a human could resist provocation in the face of temptation. Elias had finished the trial without armor, without weapons, and yet he had survived. The court whispered, some with admiration, others with disbelief. Lyra floated down to the ground level, her gown shimmering with every movement. "Captain," she said, her voice carrying across the trial field, "you completed our obstacles impressively. But tell me, would you dare to show your strength where none of your human tricks can help you? Would you face me, as you are, without any protection, without your clever devices?" A hush fell over the audience. Every Xiferan present had grown up knowing that no human could face a princess unarmed and expect to maintain dignity, let alone survive. The expectation was for him to refuse, to bow, or to make some polite excuse. But Elias did not flinch. He looked at her steadily, the hum of the crystalline palace beneath his feet steadying his thoughts. "I have nothing to hide, Princess. I do not need armor to prove my strength, nor do I need weapons to show my courage. If this is your challenge, I accept it." Lyra's smirk widened, as if she had expected the hesitation and was now pleasantly surprised. Few humans dare show such confidence. Most would cower, fearing the consequences. But you stand tall, even when everything in this world favors me. Let us see if your courage matches your words. She gestured with a delicate hand, and the trial field transformed. Obstacles disappeared, replaced by a vast arena of smooth crystal floors that reflected the suns above. The walls of the palace seemed to shift subtly, as if observing them. There were no mechanical traps, no dangerous energy pulses. This test was different. It was psychological, a test of nerve, of pride, of presence. Elias studied the arena, noting the subtle movements of Lyra's attendants. Each step, each glance, seemed designed to unsettle him, but he took a deep breath and stepped forward, unarmored, unprotected, every muscle ready. The very act of walking into the field without armor was a statement. In Zyphera, this was unheard of. A human exposing themselves fully to the unknown. Lyra began to circle him slowly, her movements deliberate, almost predatory. "You are bold, Captain Thorn," she said softly. "But bravery is not always enough. Humans are clever, yes, but cleverness can be arrogant. Are you certain you can walk through this without faltering?" "1. Elias met her gaze without hesitation. "I walk because I choose to, not because I must. Fear is not part of my calculation. Adaptation is." A ripple of surprise went through the court. Even the most experienced Excipherans were not accustomed to such calm in the face of a challenge that defied expectation. Lyra's amusement sharpened, and she raised her hands, signaling the start of her test. The air in the arena shifted suddenly. Light and shadow twisted across the reflective floor, creating illusions of pits and obstacles that did not exist. The Zypheran court gasped as Elias walked steadily, ignoring the tricks that made the crystal floors appear jagged and treacherous. Where others might have hesitated or faltered, Elias's human instincts guided him. He observed carefully, using his mind to distinguish reality from illusion. Lyra's smirk deepened. Most would stumble at this, driven by instinct. But you trust yourself. That is unusual for your kind. She continued her dance around him, her presence magnetic, designed to distract. Elias noticed the subtle signs in her movement, the way her eyes flicked toward the court, the slight tilt of her head before she shifted her weight. She was trying to manipulate him, test his focus, see if pride would cloud judgment. But Elias had learned that humans could control emotion in ways others could not. Calmness was a weapon, and observation was a shield. He allowed himself to walk confidently across the arena, each step a quiet declaration of human resilience. "You move well," Lyra said, her voice soft but cutting through the illusions. "Yet humans often mistake confidence for invulnerability. Do you truly believe you can walk away from me without consequence?" Elias stopped for a moment, turning his gaze fully upon her. He allowed a faint smile, not out of arrogance, but as a signal that he understood the nature of her challenge. "I do not need to believe in invulnerability. I need only trust in my judgment and my resolve. That is enough to face any challenge." The court leaned forward, captivated. This was more than a test of strength, it was a test of character. And humans, they realized, had a quality that even Zypherans could not replicate. An unshakable confidence born of experience, intellect, and the refusal to be intimidated. Lyra paused, studying him intently. She had expected hesitation, fear, maybe even desperation. Instead, she found a calm determination that challenged her assumptions about humanity. She extended her hand, as if inviting him closer. "Walk to me, human. Show me your courage is not empty words." Elias took another step, slow and deliberate. With each movement, he felt the weight of history, of human survival, of countless battles fought across stars. He did not rush. He did not falter. The court watched in silence, the tension so thick it was almost tangible. Finally, he reached the center of the arena, standing unarmed, unarmored, and unwavering. The twin suns of Zyphera reflected off the crystalline floor, creating a halo around him. A human figure against a world of light and energy. Lyra studied him for a long moment, her eyes reflecting something rarely seen in her expression: respect. "You are remarkable," she said quietly. "Not because of strength, not because of tricks, but because of your presence, your courage, and your refusal to yield. Few in my court could walk this field without hesitation. You have done more than survive. You have commanded attention, earned admiration, and challenged the expectations of all who watch." Elias allowed a faint nod. "That is all I intend to do, to show that humans are capable, resourceful, and determined." Lyra's smirk softened into a small, genuine smile. She circled him slowly one last time, her movements now lighter, almost approving. "Perhaps I underestimated humans," she whispered, more to herself than to him. "Perhaps there is more to your kind than I realized. Your courage and your mind, they are unlike anything I have seen." The Zypheran court murmured, realizing that this human, standing tall and unarmed, had done what many thought impossible. Elias had not only survived the trial, but had demonstrated qualities that technology and enhancements could never provide: adaptability, courage, and unwavering presence. Elias stepped back slightly, giving Lyra a nod of acknowledgement. "I walk my path, princess, not to impress, but because it is the right path. Humans do not need armor or tricks to show strength. We have something more powerful: our spirit and our mind." Lyra's eyes lingered on him, thoughtful and sharp. "You have proven much today, Captain Thorne, and I admit, it is not only skill that impresses me, but character. Perhaps there is more to learn from humans than I believed." As the court watched, Elias turned and walked slowly back toward the edge of the arena, unarmored, unprotected, and unshaken. Every eye followed him. Every whisper carried his story through the palace. Humans were more than survivors, they were challengers, thinkers, and equals in courage. And that truth, he realized, would echo through Zyphera long after the trial ended. For the first time, Princess Lyra felt a spark of something unfamiliar: curiosity, tinged with respect. She had faced many warriors, many creatures, many challenges in her long life, but this human, unarmored, unyielding, and confident was different. He was not just a soldier. He was a testament to what humanity could achieve when fear was set aside, and intellect, courage, and spirit were allowed to lead. And as Elias walked away from her taunts, unshaken and proud, Lyra realized that she had underestimated humans, perhaps for the last time. The palace of Zyphera was unusually quiet the next morning. Captain Elias Thorne had not yet returned to his quarters, and the court murmured with anticipation. Princess Lyra stood at the edge of the training grounds, her silver-blue skin glowing faintly in the soft light, her eyes sharp and thoughtful. She had spent the previous day observing Elias closely, and had come to a conclusion: humans were unlike any other beings she had faced. They survived not because of strength or speed, but because of their ingenuity, their ability to adapt, and their courage in the face of the unknown. Lyra's curiosity had grown into determination. Today, she would see if this human soldier could handle a challenge that tested every aspect of his mind and body. She floated to the center of the grounds and clapped her hands lightly. The crystalline arena shifted instantly, walls rising and falling, floors tilting and reflecting the twin suns above. The obstacles were unpredictable, some mechanical, some energy-based, all designed to test precision, speed, and thinking under pressure. Elias arrived shortly after, walking calmly into the transformed arena. He wore no armor, carried no weapons, yet his posture and expression showed complete confidence. The Zypheran court followed him closely, their whispers blending with the hum of energy that now pulsed throughout the grounds. Lyra's eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Captain Thorne," she said, her voice carrying easily across the arena. "Today, you will face a trial unlike any you have seen before. You must outthink it, adapt to it, and overcome it without hesitation. Your agility, your intellect, and your courage will all be tested simultaneously. Are you ready?" Elias gave a firm nod. "I am ready, Princess. Show me the challenge, and I will meet it." Lyra gestured, and the arena came alive. Platforms lifted into the air, shifting unpredictably. Energy beams crisscrossed the space, pulsing in irregular patterns. Some floors dissolved into holographic illusions, creating the appearance of gaps and pitfalls that did not exist. From above, Scifi observers studied him eagerly, their expressions curious and cautious. Elias's eyes scanned the field. He could see the patterns forming, the subtle cues that would allow him to predict the movement of platforms and the timing of the energy beams. Humans were capable of rapid adaptation, and this arena, for all its complexity, had rules hidden within its chaos. He understood that he could not rely on speed alone. He had to think, anticipate, and move with precision. The first obstacle was a series of floating platforms, each one rotating slowly while shifting up and down. One misstep could have sent him tumbling into the glowing river below. He stepped forward calmly, testing the weight and balance of the first platform. His feet adjusted instinctively, his eyes tracking the rhythm of its movement. When the next platform shifted unexpectedly, he pivoted mid-step, landing with steady precision. He continued, each movement measured, his mind working faster than the shifting arena. Princess Lyra floated above him, watching intently. "Most would panic," she said, almost to herself. "Yet he calculates, he adapts. He does not hesitate. Humans, they are unpredictable in ways even I did not expect." Next came a sequence of energy beams that crisscrossed rapidly, forcing Elias to jump, duck, and weave with perfect timing. Some beams pulsed in random patterns, meant to catch even the most skilled observer off guard. But Elias relied on his instincts and his ability to recognize subtle repetitions. He moved fluidly, each step and jump calculated, each motion conserving energy while maximizing speed. Lyra's amusement deepened. "A human, moving with such confidence," she whispered. "Without armor, without enhancements. Remarkable." The middle section of the arena tested his intellect. Holographic walls rose suddenly, creating mazes and dead ends. Some walls appeared solid. Others were illusions meant to confuse and mislead. Elias paused briefly, observing the flickers of energy that betrayed the illusions. Humans were quick learners and exceptional problem solvers, and his mind worked to map the patterns before he acted. He navigated the maze with careful precision, avoiding traps and discovering shortcuts that even Lyra had not anticipated. When he emerged from the maze, Lyra clapped lightly. "Impressive, Captain. Few Zypherans could find the correct path so efficiently. Yet the final challenge awaits, and it is the most dangerous of all." The last section of the arena consisted of a series of floating discs suspended over the glowing river. They spun unpredictably, some tilted, some emitting bursts of energy. The slightest misstep could send him falling. Elias studied them, noting subtle differences in movement and energy pulses. He calculated the timing, moving across the discs with careful jumps, using his reflexes and intuition. Twice, a disc tilted dangerously, and he adjusted his stance with a human flexibility the Zypherans could not predict. Lyra's eyes widened as she watched him cross the final discs. "He adapts to unpredictability. He learns faster than expected," she whispered. Her usual smirk had softened into a look of genuine respect. Finally, Elias reached the central platform, the last step before the arena's exit. He paused briefly, catching his breath, but his mind remained sharp, aware of every detail in the shifting environment. With one final leap, he landed safely, steady, and calm. The arena paused, its obstacles retracting, revealing him standing unscathed in the center. The court erupted in murmurs and applause. Lyra floated down to him, her expression thoughtful and approving. "Captain Thorn, you have done more than survive. You have adapted, outthought, and outmaneuvered a field designed to defeat even my most skilled warriors. You have shown courage, intelligence, and adaptability beyond what I expected from humans." Elias nodded, modest but proud. "Thank you, Princess. I only acted as humans. Have always done. Adapt, learn, and persevere. That is our strength." Lyra's gaze lingered on him, her eyes reflecting a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "Humans are truly remarkable. You have proven that strength is not always physical, and courage is not always reckless. You walk with purpose and clarity. And that is something even the most advanced of my people struggle to achieve." Elias allowed a faint smile. "I have learned to trust my judgment and my training, Princess. Humanity survives because we adapt, think, and persevere. That is more powerful than any armor or weapon." For the first time, Lyra felt a spark of humility. She had always assumed humans were clever, but limited. Elias had shown her that humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and capable of facing challenges that even Zypherans considered unsurpassable. "You have earned more than respect today, Captain," she said softly. "You have proven that humans are not to be underestimated, that your ingenuity and courage can match even the most advanced abilities of my people. Perhaps there is more to your species than I realized." Elias took a step back, acknowledging the weight of her words. "It is enough for me to show what humanity can do. Respect is earned through action, not expectation." Lyra nodded, a small smile on her face. "And through action, you have spoken loudly. Captain Thorn, perhaps I have underestimated humans for the last time." The court remained silent for a moment, absorbing the lesson Elias had taught without words. Humans were more than their technology, more than their tools. They had courage, adaptability, and minds capable of overcoming even the most complex challenges. And Captain Elias Thorn had shown that quality in every step he took across the arena. As the twin suns of Zyphera rose higher, casting light over the crystalline grounds, Elias knew that this trial had changed more than the court's perception of humans. It had proven something to himself, too, that no matter the challenge, no matter the opponent, human ingenuity and courage could shine brightly in the most alien of worlds. Princess Lyra's gaze lingered on him as he walked calmly away from the arena, unarmored, unarmed, and unbowed. For the first time, she considered the true nature of humanity and realized that she had only just begun to understand what made humans truly remarkable. The day had grown long on Zyphera, the twin suns casting long, shimmering shadows across the crystalline palace grounds. Captain Elias Thorn stood quietly at the edge of the central arena, watching as the court murmured among themselves. For hours, the Zypherans had observed him, learning something they had never expected. Humans could survive and even thrive in conditions that tested the limits of even the most advanced alien species. Princess Lyra approached slowly, her silver-blue skin glowing softly in the afternoon light. Her eyes, large and iridescent, studied Elias with a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and newfound respect. For the first time, she looked at a human not as a challenge or an object of amusement, but as an equal. A mind capable of thinking, adapting, and overcoming any obstacle. "You have done more than survive our trials, Captain," she said, her voice calm yet commanding. "You have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and adaptability beyond what I imagined possible. You have proven that humans are not to be underestimated." Elias nodded, keeping his composure, though a small smile tugged at the corner of his lips. "Thank you, Princess. Humans are taught to adapt, to think quickly, and to face danger without hesitation. That is how we survive. Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully, observing him as she floated slightly above the crystalline ground. Many in my court believed humans relied too heavily on tools, on armor, and on strength. Yet you have walked these trials without any of that, and have not only survived but excelled. It is remarkable. Elias's eyes scanned the arena, noting the patterns in the crystal floors, the shifting platforms, and the silent watchers in the stands. Everything was designed to intimidate, to test, and to challenge. And yet, the human mind had found a way to navigate it, to see through the chaos, and to act with clarity and precision. We survive, he said quietly, because we trust ourselves, because we learn, and because we never give up. That is what humans bring to any challenge, anywhere, in the universe. Lyra's expression softened, and she extended a hand toward him. It was a gesture of acknowledgement, of respect, and of a challenge turned into understanding. You have earned more than the admiration of this court, Captain Thorn, she said. You have earned my personal respect, perhaps even the respect of our people. Elias stepped closer, keeping his movements deliberate and calm. He accepted her hand, not in deference, but as a mutual acknowledgement. Respect is earned through action, Princess, not through expectation. You have given me the chance to show that humanity can stand on equal footing with the most advanced civilizations, and I am grateful for that opportunity. Lyra's eyes lingered on him for a moment. Her usual playful smirk replaced with something rare and sincere. I have underestimated your kind, she admitted. Perhaps, for the last time. You have shown that strength does not always lie in power or enhancement, but in courage, intelligence, and the will to persevere. Those are qualities that cannot be measured by technology or training. A hush fell over the court. The Zypherans had watched centuries of trials, battles, and competitions, but none had left such a profound impression. Here stood a human, unarmored, unarmed, and entirely reliant on his mind and spirit, having faced every challenge thrown at him with calm determination. The realization spread through the court. Humans were not weak. They were not primitive. They were formidable in ways that could not be predicted. Lyra continued, her voice carrying through the hall, strong and clear. Captain Elias Thorn, you have taught us a lesson today. That humans are more than their technology, more than their weapons. They are adaptable, resourceful, and fearless. And that is a power even the most advanced of us cannot ignore. Elias allowed himself a faint nod. It is enough for me that the truth is understood. Humanity does not seek to dominate, Princess, only to survive, and to prove that we can rise to challenges, no matter the odds. Lyra's expression softened further, her eyes reflecting the twin suns above. Perhaps there is something to learn from your people. Something beyond survival. Perhaps the courage and ingenuity that humans possess can be a bridge between our worlds. Elias glanced around at the crystal towers of the palace, at the court that had watched every step he took, and felt a quiet satisfaction. This was more than a personal victory. It was a triumph for humanity. A demonstration that the human spirit could shine even in the most alien and hostile environments. If humans can be of help, Princess, we will gladly share what we can. We learn from others, and perhaps others can learn from us as well. Lyra floated closer, her movements graceful and deliberate. Captain, you have not only survived our trials, but have earned the admiration of many who once doubted your species. There is much I would like to understand, much I would like to observe. Perhaps there is even a place for humans among us, not as intruders or curiosities, but as allies and partners. Elias allowed a small, respectful smile. That is more than I could ask for. Humans have always believed in their ability to adapt, to learn, and to survive. If we can do that while earning respect and friendship, then we have succeeded beyond mere survival. The court began to stir, murmurs turning into applause. Aliens who had once doubted the human soldier now looked at him with awe. They had seen him face illusions, navigate deadly obstacles, and confront psychological challenges without hesitation. They had witnessed the human ability to combine intelligence, courage, and calm observation into a force stronger than any weapon or armor. Lyra observed the reactions, her eyes meeting Elias's one last time. "You have shown something rare today, Captain Thorne, that a being without enhancements can still be extraordinary. That courage, intellect, and determination are as formidable as any weapon. That is a lesson I will not forget." Elias nodded once, simply. "We do not always have the strongest weapons or the fastest reflexes, but we have the will to face any challenge and the mind to overcome it. That is our greatest strength." The twin suns began to set, casting long, golden beams across the crystal towers. The light reflected off Elias's figure, unarmored and proud, creating a glow that seemed to symbolize human perseverance itself. Lyra watched him, silently acknowledging the truth that humans had shown her. Strength was not measured by tools or technology, but by courage, intelligence, and the unyielding will to persevere. For a long moment, the court was silent, all eyes upon the human who had walked unarmed into an alien trial and emerged not just unscathed, but victorious in the realm of respect and understanding. Humans were more than they appeared. They were a force shaped by experience, by adaptability, and by an indomitable spirit. And Captain Elias Thorne had shown that spirit in every step he took. Lyra extended her hand again, this time not as a challenge, but as a gesture of partnership. "Captain, you have earned not only respect, but a place of recognition among my people. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new understanding between our worlds. Arizon." Elias met her gaze steadily. "That is an honor I accept, Princess. Humanity will continue to rise to challenges, to adapt, and to prove that our spirit cannot be defeated. That is who we are." The court erupted in approval, the sound echoing across the crystalline grounds. Lyra smiled genuinely, the first time without mockery or taunt. For the first time, she truly understood the human potential she had once underestimated. And as Elias stood there, unarmored and unbowed, he realized that the greatest victories were not only the ones fought with weapons or skill, but the ones where courage, intelligence, and integrity shone brightest. Humanity had earned respect in a world far beyond Earth, proving that even in the most alien environments, the human spirit could not only survive, it could thrive. The sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the palace in a warm, golden glow. Elias turned to leave the arena, his mind calm, his heart steady. He had proven humanity's worth, and in doing so, had changed how a powerful alien world would see humans forever. Princess Lyra watched him go, a quiet respect etched in her features. For the first time in her life, she felt that humans were not just worthy of observation, they were worthy of admiration. And in that moment, a bridge had been built between two worlds, founded not on fear, or power, or technology, but on courage, intellect, and the unshakable human spirit.